Welcome to this bonus episode of Startups for the Rest of Us. I'm Rob Walling, and today I'm chiming in to let you know that TinySeed applications for our next batch are open. They close in a couple weeks on February 19th. So if you or someone you know might be interested in the right amount of funding for Bootstrap SaaS, amazing mentorship, world-class community, all the support you need to get there faster, you should head to tinyseed.com/apply. And that's it for the key takeaway of today's bonus episode. But I also wanted to include the audio from a live stream I did yesterday with a couple other TinySeed folks, our program director and program manager. And we answered audience questions about TinySeed, about the program, anything that someone is wondering about, we talked it through. And what's amazing is even after doing a lot of these live stream Q&As, we still find that there are interesting and informative questions being asked. And each time we think, well, we'll probably get through these in about half an hour. And by the end, we're just racing to answer all of them. So the session had a lot of energy. And if you're interested in learning more about TinySeed, even if you don't plan to apply, it'll be a fun listen. And if not, delete it. And I'll be back with your regularly scheduled programming next Tuesday morning, US time. And with that, let's roll right into our TinySeed Q&A. And we are live. I love that TinySeed theme.
I love it so much. It's such a pump-up song.
I'm here. It's like Eye of the Tiger. I'm your host, Rob Walling, and I am here with Tracy Osborne.
Yep. Hey, I'm happy to be here.
Super happy. Director, TinySeed, and Alex McQuaid.
Hello. Super excited to be here as well.
Program manager for our EMEA program. We have a lot of good questions. Looks like people are piling into the stream. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is our fourth or fifth time we've done this. And every time we think, A, there's not going to be a lot of people that show up, and we're always wrong. And B, there won't be enough questions, and we're always wrong, right? So this will be
feels fun. Like we did this like last month. Time is totally flying.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always leave here feeling energized and excited. So applications opened 3 days ago. Tracy, you want to talk
what
a little
day is
bit
it?
about?
It's Monday?
It is Wednesday, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No,
the applications opened on Monday. Today is Wednesday. Speaking of time flying. Yeah. Our applications are open. So we're taking applications for our spring 2023 batches. That's Americas and EMEA, open on Monday. And they go through February 19th, which I think is a Sunday at midnight, Eastern time. We'll be closing applications, and then we'll be starting the big review process. So if anyone is applying, just FYI, you have the ability to save your application. So you can start your application anytime during this period. You just have to make sure it's submitted by that February 19th date.
Save your application at any time. Brand new, super awesome functionality built.
That's a fancy feature.
Tracy makes. You want to talk about the new application we built?
Yeah, we've been talking about application systems for a while, I think, on our live streams. And when we're talking about startup ideas, we've always wanted an application system. We've really wanted to improve the user experience for the folks applying for the program. So we have a new application system this round, testing it out, and working really well. So it's a lot prettier, hopefully easier to use, has that save functionality. It's a little goofier too, which is, I think, lots of fun little touches we put into the system this round. So yeah, new application round. Check it out.
Stoked.
A system, rather.
Alex, before we dive into questions, anything you want to add about the EMEA batch? I know that last time we added we were going to do one EMEA batch per year, and then we got so many applicants.
I was going to say that was our big announcement last round. It was 2 rounds. I would just say that I think it was the right decision. Our second batch was just as exciting as the first. The EMEA program is strong and growing. If you are in Europe, Middle East, or Africa, come join us. We've got a really strong group, and I'm excited to keep it going.
Yes. I see that little comment. New application system is 5-star. That makes me so happy.
Amazing. Tracy spent a lot of time on that. It's great.
Yeah, you can see my former life was a designer, so I was able to really fuss with it.
Dial it in. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, let's dive a little bit into questions. We have a lot of them coming in. I want to make sure we cover them all today. First question: what are some of the things? What are some of the things that? Do we want to start with that, Tracy? Do we want to start with the other topics, or should I dive into
Hey, let's talk about the application. Let's just continue the little story about the application system.
Okay.
I think it's really illuminating for us to go over some of the things that we value during applications, things that we're looking for. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to lead off. We'll do a brief overview here. We do also have a blog post. What is it called? What are the best fit startups for the TinySeed Accelerator? So if you want to read it in full, we listed out some of like the top things we're looking at in each application. So things like what's your revenue? Because TinySeed is the program focused on helping startups scale, not find necessarily product market fit or find their idea or really establish idea. So we're looking for folks who are generally above 500 in MRR at the time of application, and that can go actually way up. So the minimum is 500 MRR. If you're at 0 MRR, you're just testing out your idea, probably isn't the right time to apply for TinySeed. You still can and get on our radar and submit for applications once the company has grown to the level we can start scaling. But those are some of the things we're looking at first, is where you are in revenue levels, so that the program works for you and helps you scale, and you're at the place where you can really take advantage of the things that we've built. So that blog post has it in full. What are some other things that you want to call out?
I want to piggyback on that and say that, you don't need product market fit to apply, because if you're at 1,000 MRR, oftentimes you have very weak, if not any. So we do help people strengthen product market fit and scale up. And we've accepted folks from, like you said, in that 500 to 1,000 MRR range, all the way up to 100,000 MRR. Biggest company that's ever been part. So that gives you an idea of the range. Size. The other things, and we look at are you SaaS? Are you a software tool? Not 80% consulting, because we'll have agencies apply and say we have all this revenue, but it's
or
all
a physical product,
right?
Which is
because we want to back companies we can help, and we are we are world class at this one little thing, and it's SaaS, B2B SaaS, right? We have evaluated. B2C is always on the edge, and we kind of never do it because the churn's too high and the price point's too low. So we like to see MRR. We like to see growth rate. We like to see, is this probably in a niche that's not going to be commoditized? We're not scared of competition, but you can see, certain trends in certain spaces where it's there's a lot of open source in that, so we may want to back away. But the TinySeed Q&A drinking game is, I say Sunday. So you can remember when applications end. And this time it's Sunday.
Not this Sunday,
but the next Sunday. And if in doubt, fill it out. That's the thing. If you're in doubt, you can ask questions like, should I apply? My answer is going to be probably, because it takes about 10 to 15 minutes for you to apply. It takes us a minute or two to review. So if you're in doubt, you can certainly ask, but if in doubt, I would say fill it out. With that, let's dive into our first audience question. Ranma on YouTube says, hey, thanks for putting this together. How do we answer the ARPU, average revenue per user, customer lifetime value? How many customers do you have if we have a business that is transitioning to a SaaS model, but it has prior revenue?
As you can tell, we like metrics.
Yes. So we're
very metrics focused. Yeah.
So I'm going to say what I think, and I'm curious if you two agree with me. So I would say put in your SaaS or software numbers and metrics. And then we have a MRR clarification text field. And you can just put, in addition to this, we have consulting revenue, blah, 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 right? Just put it out. We are humans reading this. It's not some AI. We will read through the application. So I would tend to want the software metrics to be at the forefront as I skim down it, and then something added. Alex, do you agree?
Yeah, and I would say that's how I'd answer the question. I would also add, we sometimes get a similar question. What if my business is B2C, but I'm adding, or I've started to add a B2B side of the business? And obviously you said you're focused on B2B SaaS businesses. Likewise, I would say, share that with us. What are the metrics for the B2B side of the business? How much revenue have you started to generate there? You can also share the B2C side. We'd like to hear that, but we'll primarily be interested in hearing what traction you've gotten on the B2B side. So, I think the MRR clarification field is the right place to kind of just give us some context. We'd love to hear what you're doing and some background.
All right. Next question from Plugged In on YouTube. How many people apply? and how many people get in. So we don't publicly release detailed numbers. I will say we've had, I forget if it's like several thousand, 3,000 applicants, but that's across all of the batches. We accept around 2% of applicants, maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say 3%.
Somewhere in that range. It's like 2 to 3% get in. So more exclusive than Harvard University.
Yeah. And again, we're looking for folks that can take advantage of the program, who can really benefit from the education and things that we put out there. So it's not like, 100% of those folks are good fit, and we're really narrowing down to that tiny percentage. Look at that blog post, kind of, you can, again, see what we're looking for in terms of applications, and, in terms of best fits, obviously the folks who are best fits for TinySeed, the acceptance rate is a lot higher.
Yep, that's true. All right, plugged in. Nope. All right, chat on YouTube. Do you fund companies that are direct competitors of a portfolio company? So we have funded 107 companies, give or take.
Yeah.
Right, 105, 107. In the next 2 years, we will be over 200. So we will inevitably, we will have to back companies that are competitors. Now, there are some we've tried really hard not to back two competitors in the same batch. And in fact, to date, we have not. The other thing is there are some spaces that are small. And I think if let's say you're an email service provider or your ERP, these are massive, massive spaces. Could we back 3, 4 competitors and all of them can win? Yes. But if you're talking like scheduling software for dry cleaners, or just it's like, that's probably a pretty small niche. And I would personally be resistant to doing that. So the answer is yes, but it depends on the specifics.
Yeah, we get this, the previous question, we didn't, we said like 3%. I should say we were looking at about 30 companies across Americas and EMEA per round, I would say, for the spring 2023 round, approximately 30 companies in total. So that does mean if we're going to be doing that twice a year, so there's 60 companies per year, then of course we're going to be looking at competitors, especially as the years go on. And I think we have a lot of things in place to make sure that for anyone who might have like small overlaps with other portfolio companies, to make sure that we can, provide both of them the best support and the best advice and everything to help them both grow. And I should also say that during the application system, of course, we're going to be seeing data from folks who are competitors within the application system, but people are applying who are competitors to current portfolio batches, and they just want to ask us questions. And the application system itself is also completely confidential. We do not share any of the information that comes in through the applications. We don't share that with anyone outside of the immediate program team, which is the three of us as well. Yeah. 3 of us and Einar Volstead, who is the other partner of TinySeed. So just want to reassure that if you're a competitor to any of our portfolio companies and you're applying, that the information that's on your application is completely confidential.
Question from Devin Perrick. We've applied in the past, but feedback has been that our revenue traction wasn't where it needed to be. That said, is there a sweet spot for current MRR and year-over-year growth? What do you think, Alex?
It depends, right?
Tracy?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, either one.
I don't know if I have a sweet spot number. It
know.
It does depend, doesn't it? It's tough. It depends on where you were. It depends on, I think it also depends on, what you're working on. That's another interesting part of the application. There's a field about, your customer acquisition funnel where you can kind of share what you're doing. And that gives us more context on what direction you're headed. So I don't know. I feel like I don't want to opt out of this question, but I don't have a specific number in mind.
Yeah, I think for me, each of us, there's 4 of us. Well, there's 4 of us who review, and each of us has, I think, different criteria, which is good, right? There's diversity of opinion there. I start to feel uncomfortable when like MRR is below 1,000. I'm not saying we have funded companies below 1,000, but it's like, that's really early. But
there has to be other factors, right? It's like, what has the team done in the past? And what are some of the things that they might have done that's not relating to revenue, but might be still contributing to growth, So there's like factors that would make us more comfortable with a pre-1,000, but in general, makes
it uncomfortable. And then, I mean, I think once you hit 2,000 or 3,000 MRR, I start to feel like, all right, they've landed some stuff but then it's like, well, we've had companies apply with 3,000 MRR and they have one customer paying them 3,000. It's like, okay, so now I'm less comfortable. This is where the it depends happens. For me though, in between that 2 and 3 up to about, I'd say most recently about 40K MRR, 40 or 50 is where we've been funding. I think if you're above 40 or 50, we should probably talk about you using our syndicate to get funded, unless you really want to be part of the accelerator. And then in terms of growth, I got to be honest, we don't really look at year over year. We look at month over month growth. We ask for your previous 6 months of MRR and
kind of filled out that if you've applied before in previous rounds, this is one of the few new fields where we're asking for each month for the last 6 months what your MRR is.
Yep. Ken on YouTube asks, have you funded companies that are still in the product development stage pre-revenue?
We have. We're not doing it now.
And the problem is you think you're going to get to growth next month or 6 months, and it's actually 3 years. Like,
which is fine, but might not
don't apply yet. The timing's not good.
Yeah, the calls, the mentors we bring in, we're all going to be talking about things that are going to be growth stage, and it's not to be listening to those calls and not be able to apply the things that we're teaching immediately because you're still working on that initial set of customers.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, we have 2 batches per year. So the wait time for the next batch isn't that long. 6 months from now, if you're post revenue, you have traction, then it's a great time to apply.
Kimmy Med on YouTube asks, for pre-revenue companies, how should we address revenue churn and customer churn?
I want to say that those are text fields, so you can put it as 0, and we'll just interpolate from the fact that if your MRR is 0, then we're probably not even going to be looking at those fields. So you can put in whatever.
DJ Enzo, or it might be Genzo. I think it's DJ Enzo 240 Gamer. Ooh, that's a heck of a handle on YouTube. Is B to B to C accepted? Alex McQuaid, what do you think?
B to B to C, yes, I would. Context, but yes, I would think we'd want to see your application.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yep. Please apply.
Yeah.
Same username, I won't say it again, is $220,000 the max funding. So if you go to tinyseed.com/program, you can look at our funding terms, and we talk about it.
FAQ jumps straight to the bottom of the page where it has more details about those funding terms.
Yeah. So we invest between 120 and 220,000 per company for 10 to 12% equity. There have been some exceptions, like let's say the company that applied at 100,000 MRR, we went slightly above 220. Yes. So it's as with all these things, we are humans, and it depends a little bit, depending on how much success you had. If you're doing 1,000 MRR and want to come in and raise 250K from us, that's not going to be a fit. But obviously, if you're big or growing very quickly, we do have some room to talk about it.
Yeah, we discuss these things with the founders that are when we give the offer, we'll have this discussion, and we'll give our best offer. It is, the discussions can continue after the offer too. So we set what we think is fair. Discussions can continue. There's some wiggle room, but in general, if you're looking for 500,000, you probably want to go to the TinySeed syndicate instead, or other numbers.
Right, and you need to have the progress to be there. And I would say that most of our, like a vast majority of our offers, if you're in that kind of sweet spot MRR range, it's a standard offer, and it's not, I mean, we've funded 107 companies. We cannot negotiate individual term sheets. We can't negotiate individual terms. Our terms are standard. We have docs that, again, 100 something founders have signed, and they've been vetted, and switching those would be, very difficult to keep track of.
Yeah, let me jump in one more thing, because sometimes people want to negotiate the percentage we take as well. And sometimes people say like, hey, this seems higher than a typical angel investment. And it's because of the TinySeed program, because of that year-long accelerator, because of everything you get through the program is one of the reasons why, at first glance, that percentage we take seems like it could be higher than a typical angel investment. Right.
That's a good point. Our valuation is lower. We are not the cheapest money you will receive. No doubt. You can go to the dentist or the doctor down the street and absolutely raise money at maybe 2x the valuation we're giving. our value is not in the money we bring. That's part of it. But our value is what Tracy's talking about, which is world-class mentors. TinySeed.com/people, and look at the mentor list. Like, it's incredible. It's a who's who of B2B SaaS founders.
Yeah.
Like, you will have access to them. You'll have access to me and Einar Volset, Tracy and Alex, like a kickoff retreat in person where we hang out for 2.5 days. It'll blow your mind.
The community,
So
like we're at over 200 founders now within the TinySeed community. So not including the team and the mentors and whatnot, we have just this huge list of other startup founders that are all going through the same thing together. And so yeah, definitely the value is in the community, the mentorship, the advising, the resource that we can give. And then funding is great, but is definitely after
third
those
or fourth on the list for most founders.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh yeah, the money's great. But the real long lasting value is this year-long accelerated. No one else does a year-long accelerated program, right? And we do that. Alex, I just mentioned the kickoff retreat that we do in person. We do two a year in Europe and 2 in Americas. You want to talk just briefly about what that entails?
Where to start? The kickoff retreat personally is one of my favorite parts of the program. I mean, there's a lot to compare it to, but it's a really fun part of the program with a ton of value. So approximately within a few weeks of when the program starts, we have a kickoff retreat. We bring together everyone who's available to a location, and we have dinners, we have masterminding, we have activities. And the kickoff retreat, it has a few goals in mind. One, it is a good time, but 2, it's to start building relationships with the other founders in your batch. One of the goals of TinySeed is for you to be building this relationship with other founders. These are founders who are going to be, helping you over time, giving you feedback on your business, especially within your batch. These are people that you trust and that are, just able to understand what you're working on and be there alongside you. So the kickoff retreat has that goal, it's an incredible value. We mastermind half the day, so we spend time digging into your business. Going over what your biggest challenges are. And on top of our team, you have a room full of founders who are just providing feedback based on their experiences, their advice. It's a ton of value. And then we go out and we do these social activities. What have we done? We've done
it's like half work, half play. Always got to have a fun thing.
Yeah,
I think our upcoming one, we're working on the one that's going to be happening for Americas. We're going to have separate ones. Like Americas is going to be in April. EMEA kickoff batch will be in May. And as the person who's running the Americas one, I think we're looking at indoor skydiving, rage room, where I guess you just go in.
Rage room.
The rage room where you just go in and smash things. Go-karts was last time. And then I already volunteered very strongly for leading the ziplining crew.
Yeah. And we did hot air ballooning once. We do boat trips. We do, and it's just a few hours in the afternoon where you keep talking about work. You keep talking about your business. So it's not like you're screwing off in the afternoon. You're just able to mix it up and have an activity and continue.
Yeah, have an experience together.
Yeah, that's true. We find the mastermind kind of continues into the activity. People think later, like, oh, I remember you were discussing you had this issue. Like, I just had an idea come to mind. Have you tried this? So it's a great way to do that.
Founders come away from it raving, just like, I had no idea how valuable. Already, someone told us last time, like, if I knew how valuable this would be, this was like makes the whole year for me. Just these 2.5 days of just totally changed the way he was thinking about his business. Ron has posted that a couple of people are asking about producer Ron, thanks. Asking about the next round of applications will be open after this one. So if someone's pre-revenue now and they want to get to the point where they can apply, Tracy, do we have an idea? Because we run twice a year.
We have a date. I'm not going to, it still could be changed, but it would only change within the weeks. But right now, the fall 2023 applications are going to be starting in early September. So probably if you're in the US or Canada, on Labor Day, and going for 2 weeks, just like this round. That could move back and forth like a week, just depending on how things roll through the summer. But essentially, it's going to be early September.
Early September.
And then that batch will be starting in November.
Paolo on YouTube asks, our company operates fiscally in the US. We're a Wyoming LLC. We work physically in Europe, in Italy, and we have applied for TinySeed Americas. Is that a problem?
Can I take this one? I don't want to steal Paulo away from Tracy, but
I know.
Paulo,
but you are. Yeah.
But my answer, I do want to steal you, Paulo. But my answer, I think, would also be useful for anyone else that's in this situation. If you're in this situation, if you're based in Europe, I would highly suggest applying for the EMEA program. And the reason for that is because the EMEA program was made to be convenient for people who are in the EMEA region. Our calls are on European time zone business hours. Obviously, our retreat that we were just talking about, that's going to be in London this year. So that's going to be easier to get to. The other founders are in the region. It's just more convenient overall that you're in that region. Of course, you can definitely apply for Americas, but I think it'll be a better fit for you. So, Paula, if you want to reach out to me, let me know your company name. I can switch that over.
Switch that for you.
Yeah.
I will say, whatever one you're applying for, by the way, it can totally be changed. We'll have these discussions with you during the during the interview stage. So we have a don't know option in the form, so you can also choose that. And then we definitely will reach out. And if you're a good fit for TinySeed, talk about which program works better for you. Essentially, they're the same program. The time zone our calls are scheduled on are different. So Alex's calls are going to be, like he said, convenient for folks who are in the EMEA regions. The calls that I schedule are going to be convenient for Americas. Anyone in the world can apply. So folks in the APAC region, we don't have an accelerator just yet for the APAC region. So folks in Australia, Japan, New Zealand, they have been joining TinySeed generally on the America side of things. And then the calls are kind of at really inconvenient hours. We have people who are joining us at 5 a.m. if you want to join. Someday we'll get there.
Watching the recordings.
But we have the recordings. Yeah. So everything is recorded and nothing is mandatory to join. So even folks who are in the Americas batches, if you're super busy, they can not attend the calls live and just review the recordings afterwards. So all of that works for us. But really, if you want to attend the live calls, which we recommend because they're really fun, then that's where the differences in the program really lies.
Yeah. And I just remember too, I know you mentioned, Paulo, that you're incorporated in the US. I think just to mention that's fine as well. You can be part of the EMEA program and incorporated in the US.
For sure. Ryland on YouTube asks, do you expect successful applicants to focus all their professional resources on the company, on their startup? In other words, can candidates still have day jobs? Alex, Tracy?
Yes.
I was going to say, yes. Focus.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we ask is that if you're accepted into TinySeed, that at least one founder in the company is full-time in the business by the time the program starts. Hopefully one of our hopes is with the funding that'll help take care of any financial concerns you have. But really, we believe that the program will be able to better serve you if you're able to focus solely into your business and really dedicate all of your energy to it. We're going to be giving you a lot of information, a lot of resources, and you'll be able to grow faster if you're able to dedicate that energy.
With all the info we give you, if you work on nights and weekends, you're going to be overwhelmed. You're not going to be able to keep up. So we do tend to fund. It's not a direct formula based on the number of founders, but if you have one founder go full time and one not, you will get less money. You will get a lower valuation than if both go full time. And we have had all those situations happen where we've had, one founder go full time and one not. Adam on YouTube.
So apply. So one last thing, just apply even if you're not in a situation, if you're not full time, feel free to apply. And we'll have that conversation with you. Yeah. We'll learn your plans, and then we can, talk about, what the schedule should be for you and your company if we give you an offer. So, definitely apply. If you're part-time, definitely apply. If you're not working full-time, anything like that, definitely apply.
Yep. Adam on YouTube asks, what is the process once you have shortlisted the most suitable applications? Tracy, what do we do with the shortlist?
Let me do the full rundown of the process. So all the applications come in. And then the four of us, Alex, Tracy, Rob, Einar, we all go through and we rate them internally. And then that kind of helps us determine the folks who move on to the next stage, which is a initial interview with either Alex or myself. And so, of course, I take the ones that are going in the Americas direction, and Alex takes the ones that are going into the EMEA direction. And we kind of split the folks who aren't sure. After that initial application initial interview, then for folks who are still a good fit, then they move on to the call with Rob and Einar. And after that call, we're generally able to make a determination between the four of us of folks who are good fits for TinySeed and will receive an offer.
There it is.
I missed? Okay.
I think you're good. Let's see. I don't know. Do we disclose this? Tracy Slav on YouTube asks, how many AWS credits does the AWS partnership provide?
We don't disclose it. I don't think we can due to our agreement with AWS. But I will say that if you look up AWS, like if there's public AWS credit programs, ours is higher. And that's why we can't say it.
So people are usually pretty happy with the amount.
Exactly.
Amir on YouTube asks, I'm doing AI automation for e-commerce operations. Are you still investing in the e-com space? Alex McQuaid, are we investing in the e-com space?
As long as you're a SaaS, yes.
There it is.
There you go. I mean, straightforward.
Absolutely. David on YouTube, do you back solo founders who are building part-time due to go full-time soon? Yes.
Right? We love solo founders. I don't think we've mentioned that quickly. There's some other accelerator programs out there that are like, you must have a co-founder. We're not that one. We love solo founders. We love multiple founder teams, of course, as well. And that's actually another part of that blog post I keep mentioning, the one that's best fit startups for TinySeed. We talk about the number of founders. So solo founders are awesome. If you're at like 4 founders and up, then we might have more questions for you.
Should be a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some things there, but solo founder is great. You're going to go full-time at some point. That's great.
Yeah. And I think if I were to guess, I'd guess 60 or 70% of the companies we have funded are single founders. And
I think it's because of the value of the program. Because, like I said, the number one value of the program is that community that's within other founders. And as a solo founder, having a community of fellow founders is hugely valuable. It's a great benefit for the program because it's really lonely being a solo founder.
Right.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
It's also the microconf community as a whole. We do the State of Independent SaaS, and it's somewhere between 50 and 60% of microconf TinySeed type companies are single founders. And that's very different than the venture capital landscape.
Yeah.
Julius on YouTube asks, if a business was built on using a current white label SaaS platform, would that be considered too much platform risk to apply? What do you think, Alex?
Ooh, that's a tough one. If the business is built on a current... I might punt that to you, Rob.
I love putting Alex on the spot. This is my favorite.
I think it's a little... let me reread that one.
It's not too much. If in doubt, fill it out.
Yeah, definitely apply.
I think it depends on the program, the platform too. Yeah,
it does. We should just call that out in your application, please, so that we see it. Don't try to hide it. Don't make us dig it up. Just say this is built on this white label platform, and then we'll have a conversation about it. In my opinion, it is not too much platform risk to apply. We have folks with as much or more platform risk who have gotten into the program, and it's just about managing that and understanding that risk is there and figuring out ways as you grow to mitigate it. Jacob on YouTube, what's the difference between TinySeed and a traditional VC firm? That is one of my favorite questions. You want to kick this off,
I'm
Tracy?
grabbing it. I'm super excited. The number one difference, I think, is the optionality that you get with TinySeed as compared to a traditional VC firm. Like folks coming into TinySeed, if you want to continue bootstrapping after taking our investment, that's totally great. A lot of VC firms, they want you to go in and, raise money from them and then make plans for your seed and make plans for your Series A and then make plans for this. And then you're on this constant accelerated process of always raising money. And I think, 60 to 70% of the companies that go through TinySeed go back to maybe semi-bootstrapping or still being like, say, indie state of mind while taking TinySeed money and then not raising further money. That does mean that there are some companies that go on and raise further investment. That's awesome too. Einar Volset is your partner in crime if you want to raise more money, and he will walk you through that process and help you out and we have resources within TinySeed to help people raise the next round of money if they want to do that. We're also totally happy if your plans is to go big and sell. That's great. Let us know that. We have, I want to emphasize the go big part. So if you want to come into TinySeed and sell as fast as possible, there might be some issues. I don't know, Rob, do you have a better way of explaining that part?
Yeah. I mean, basically venture capitalists.
You have to be ambitious. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. You want to be an ambitious bootstrapper. I mean, if you want to build a $500,000 ARR company, and that's amazing, you should go do that. But TinySeed can't invest, right? We want you to shoot for at least $1 million, $2 million in ARR. And frankly, to not sell too early. If you want to sell for $2 or $3 million, that doesn't provide an adequate return for our investors. We are a two-sided marketplace. We have LPs who invest, and they're taking the big risk by funding, B2B SaaS companies in the early stage. And then we have founders who we're giving the money to. And so basically, but here's the difference. If you take venture money, they pretty much won't invest if there's not a potential for you to be $1 billion outcome.
Right.
Half a billion, $1 billion. I mean, we would be, I like to think of our minimum as around a $10 million exit if you decide to sell. 10, 20, that works, right? We'd love to see 50 million. But yeah, if you sold for 10 million, all right, cool. That's good. Like, good for you and good for us. If you did that if you raise venture money and do that, they're going to be mad. That's not the outcome they're looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the outcome is one. We also allow our companies to run profitably. If you wanted to run profitably for a decade and pull out profits, that's an option, right? Completely different. No venture fund would let you do that. We also run this year-long accelerator with all the support we've talked about. Venture funds do not do that, right? They write you a check and then they sit on your board and they'll give you some advice. But the amount of involvement we have is 10 times what you'd get from a typical VC firm. In addition, venture funds in the US fund Delaware C Corps. That's it. If you want to be any other entity, don't bother. You have to convert. We fund C Corps, we fund LLCs, and we fund a select group of, I'll say, non-US entities, right? Like London, not London, but UK Limited. There's a couple countries that we have.
Germany. Mm-hmm.
And that is not the case with venture. They will do Delaware C Corps. So I think those are the main differences.
Yeah. I mean, in addition to everything else, like the program, I think we talked about a lot, but if you're, the plans you have as a company, I think are, you have a lot higher, like a larger range of options with TinySeed.
Good question coming up from Kaloyan on YouTube. What does the access to mentors look like? Do we do calls? Do we have direct communication? Can we send emails? How much are the mentors involved?
Mind if I steal this one?
Do it.
Because I love to gush about our mentors. So there's two ways that mentors are involved. One, in our batches, and two, one-to-one. So I'll cover the group aspect first. After we finish the playbook part of the program in the first 6 weeks, where every other week we're covering a different topic that is essential to SaaS growth. Those are hosted by Robin Anar.
We'll say it's more than 6 weeks because it's every other week. I think it's like 3 months.
Sorry, I say 6 sessions every other week.
There you go.
Yeah. We move on to mentor calls. And so continuing every other week, Tracy and I will be scheduling calls with one of our mentors who will come on and talk a little bit about their subject of expertise, but also answer questions from the batch. So this is a great time to come with a long list of questions. Maybe it's a marketing mentor and you can share, like issues you're having with your marketing plan, hypothetical questions, and kind of get some feedback.
Like yesterday, I did a call with April Dunford, who's the author of Obviously Awesome and like the premier positioning expert. So she came on yesterday and was able to take positioning questions from all TinySeed founders, and it was awesome.
Yeah, and the groups are a great way because hearing other founders' questions is super useful. Usually things come up that you may not have thought of off the top of your head, but is definitely useful in the future. But on top of that, we also have one-on-one connections with the mentors. So usually what we recommend doing is using this part of the program is when you're facing a specific challenge, maybe a roadblock, or you're taking on a new initiative within the business, and you need some insight from a mentor that'll help you kind of boost ahead and save all the weeks, months of figuring it out on your own. That's a great time to reach out to Tracy and I, and we'll hook you up with a mentor. These can be often they're calls, sometimes they're emails. It depends on the mentor and their availability.
Yeah, there's some folks on our Slack they'll do DMs. Yeah.
Yep. Our mentors are all volunteers. They're also running, their own businesses. So we try to facilitate based on their availability, but they're super generous with their time. And they'll jump on and provide advice, feedback. And the goal there is like I said, to help you save time and not have to go through so much of the what you normally would have to do on your own.
Alex and I have we have one of our top role, both of our roles is really to make sure that founders get the information they need. And so we've built a whole slew of systems to, juggle these really amazing mentors, making sure that folks have really quick access to all the mentors when they need it, ways to redirect requests if there's a mentor who's not available at that time, because the folks are, can be busy because we have such really amazing mentors. Like the processes that we've built for this are quite extensive. And it's also, we can make sure that the founders have the best experience possible.
Yeah. And you don't even need to know what mentor you need. You can just come to Tracy and I and say, I'm struggling with this. Like, what should I do? Who should I talk to? And we'll take it from there. We'll connect you with the best resource, the person who will help you move forward.
Right. And that's one of the big benefits that I think people maybe don't understand is how deep our mentor network is. And there has not been, I can't think of a topic that we haven't found someone for them to talk to.
There's been some niche ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Like really niche. So
we've all had, like, as a team, like the four of us have had to like put our brains together and really work through. Yeah.
Yep. And that's the thing is you don't underestimate, as a founder, don't underestimate how many weeks or months the right advice at the right time can save you. That I'm not closing as many sales demos. Exactly. It's a cheat code, right? It's like, oh, well, send me a video of your demo, review it. Oh, well, here's like 4 things you're doing wrong. And it's like, boom, changes the trajectory of the business. It's stuff like that. Copy, there's design, Tracy, I know you did design teardowns, all kinds of stuff. Questions are coming in faster than we're answering. So we're going to lightning round it a little bit.
We always worry about this, but
I know. So Jacob on YouTube asks, if we are accepted into the accelerator and are successful, are we eligible to come back and raise through the syndicate in the future? Absolutely. Yes. You're eligible to raise through the syndicate now if you wanted, assuming you meet our requirements, or
that's a great path. Like we have,
if you're a TinySeed company, that's the point. That's one of the points. One of the reasons we started the syndicate was to be able to help you with follow-on funding. Shavkat on YouTube asks, would you accept an application for a B2B SaaS where the business and the customers are outside of the US? It's a health tech app and the US has laws and similar product already. Hence, we are targeting APAC. Customers in the business outside of US, I'm seeing nods of agreement.
Yes,
absolutely. We have done that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the challenges you're going through in building your company in terms of finding customers and working on your pricing and learning the sales process and going enterprise sales, like that's all universal for B2B SaaS.
The question from Rebu, and it's a 2-part question. Well, they ask it as one part. They say, hi, we recently received a grant, but our MRR is less than $500. Could we apply to TinySeed and get through? And I want to break that into 2 questions. If you have received a grant and you want to apply to TinySeed, yes, we have actually funded companies that have non-equity grants, basically from their government, from a competition or whatever. So yes, if you're less than 500, I'd say, and you want to apply. The odds of you getting funding through us are a lot lower. We generally encourage people to be 500 and up, but you could certainly do it. We have some folks who apply for the experience of applying, right? You actually learn stuff about your business.
Yeah. One of the questions we asked is if you applied before, and what Alex and I do is go and find your previous application and link them. So we have that full set of history. So if you applied before, very likely you're going to get an email saying not right now, but then you apply again. When you're there, we have that history, and arguably it tells, it can tell a really good story.
Right.
I'm not going to say it's going to increase your chances of getting in, but we've had, Tony Chan of Cloud Forecast applied 4 times, I think, before 3 or 4 times before getting in, and because we can see that journey that he took and like the progress, and then at that last time, it was like we can't say no. Like this is great. Like.
Yeah, I think some people worry that having applied again is a negative in our mind, and it absolutely is not. Please,
huge bonus.
Yeah, we love to see it. So if you've applied before, do not hesitate.
Yep, we have funded many, many companies on their 2nd or 3rd or maybe even some 4th. I mean, so yeah, do it. DJ Enzo asks, any chance of the APAC accelerator starting this year? No chance of that.
The economy didn't go in the right direction for that.
It's not. Yeah, there's so much to be done there. So
we want it, but not there yet.
Yep. Web Developer Ninja asks, any Azure credits as part of your perks?
Oh, I was just researching this. We have I don't know the number off the top of my head, but there's we have a link to that. Yeah, in our perks.
So we do have perks, Azure perks.
I think Alex, you just set that up, right?
Yeah, it's a universe. I can share more information, but yes,
Cool.
you would qualify for their credits through.
If you go to tinyseed.com/perks-overview, it has logos for everyone we have in our perks page. I'm probably missing some, but there's a lot, which is why I was like, do we have that one? Because we have so many perks at this point that I've forgotten who we have.
Remember. Yeah. Tempesta Media asks, we are larger than your 50K MRR sweet spot. We are growing 50% a year. We are very interested in the accelerator portion of the value. Are companies greater than 40 or 50K still accepted? Absolutely. We have accepted companies. Again, we accepted a company accelerator at 100. We've had multiple we have had several in the like 70 to 80,000 range.
I think
there is no
average is 18 and our median might be lower, but like it's all over the place. Yeah,
it is. And so, yes, please apply. We'd love to chat with you. DJ Enzo, do solo founders or founder startups with awards get an edge? I don't think either of those would give you an edge. We like solo founders, but if you were a one-person or a two-person team and you have the same numbers and the same business, to me, it's all the same. And awards, we don't
ask for that. I don't think I've ever asked anyone about awards. I mean, it's great. It tells a great story. And if the award, especially if it, say it's an industry award for something that you're building, and that could be proof of, your company is growing at so-and-so, but then you have this award and it really shows that, your industry is really into what you're building. That could be a factor in our decision.
Paulo asks, our company is an infrastructure as a service provider. Since TinySeed is an Amazon partner, they are our biggest competitor. Are we still eligible? That's a funny question.
That's a funny question. Well, Amazon has no insight whatsoever in what we're doing, especially any big company. I only know if they know we exist, other than the fact that they have a perks program and they email me.
That's it. Yes, you are eligible. Please apply. Chris, we might end early on this one. We got a good lightning round going.
Too lightning.
Chris Bach on YouTube. Do you take post-revenue startups, so bootstrapped and have revenue, that really need more connections and advice?
Yes. That's why we're here.
That's one of our big value props. Yes. But what we're not going to do is, we get this question now and again, can I go to the accelerator and not take any funding? And it's like, no, because we're not a nonprofit. We're not a charity. The part of this is that we need to have
that two-sided marketplace.
Exactly. We need to have an upside. And so we give you 6 figures in USD, in order to have a bit of equity. But absolutely, connections and advice, mentorship. These are.
But I will say a shout out to MicroConf, because we have MicroConf Connect, which the program's. Take a read on the MicroConf side of things, the MicroConf conferences. So if you want to have access to something that's similar to TinySeed in terms of the advice and the focus, MicroConf is the way you can get that without having to go through the accelerator or get investment.
Gokul Madan asks, do you have any companies that have applied to TinySeed in the past that are only enterprise sales? Or does TinySeed even make sense for a pure enterprise SaaS app? Yes, indeed. We
love enterprise.
Please apply. It's great.
High touch, low touch, as long as
we're not going to push people into what they don't want to do, but I will say a lot of folks come into TinySeed and then they start their enterprise program because there's a lot of value in having enterprise.
Yep. It's a big, I would say it's part of I was going to say it's a big focus, but look, we also have like low touch, no touch funnels. That's great too. We are
but it's like overwhelming, right? Which is why there's a lot of information there in terms of how to run enterprise side of things. So there's just so much to learn. So we have a part of the program that focuses on, helping people launch those programs and know how to do it right, because it can be like a huge value add. Like in terms of, once you move your contract values upwards, it makes a lot of things easier with your business.
Yeah.
Web Developer Ninja asks, do you fund teams that use offshore engineering talent?
Yeah.
Alex.
Nod.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also a good clarification here too is a side question we sometimes get. You do not need to be a technical founder or have a technical founder. We're fine with non-technical founders as well.
We do ask, like, one of the questions on the application is who's the coder. We're just curious about how it works in your team. And so a totally acceptable answer is offshore development team.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say personally, see, again, we all have our own criteria. There's 4 of us. I prefer, if you have a technical founder, you have a slight edge in my rankings, but we have funded many folks.
And it has to do with, the speed at which the business can execute. When you have a technical co-founder, It's a lot faster to get things done than if you have to go through an offshore team. But we do have companies in TinySeed who go that path.
LJ asks, can you, they ask, how do UK residences register their SaaS company? That one, I would say go to ChatGPT or Google and type that in, because I don't know. I have never done it. Most companies who apply already have an entity, but there's a chunk that don't, and they incorporate. We make an offer, they incorporate in their local region, or where, in whatever location.
You don't have to be incorporated before applying. Like you do have to be incorporated in order to accept the investment. Yes. And we will, if you don't have it set up and you don't have contacts, we have gone through and researched like lawyers and things. Like we'll have some things to help you out in terms of to make sure that deal gets done. But it's not like a part of the program as the incorporation aspect.
And LJ asked, can you help with an AI business? If you're B2B SaaS and you have some component of AI, B2B SaaS is B2B SaaS, right? It's still solving a problem, finding more customers who need that problem, and all the other stuff, all the blocking and tackling around that. So AI
our spring 22 batch had a lot of AI. And this is actually before the big, AI really exploded, 6 months ago. So we actually did this whole round of investing in a bunch of AI businesses before it went really big, which I think was good on us. We were already going in that direction. But yes, they are all at the core though, B2B SaaS.
We were into AI before AI was cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Kenneth from LinkedIn asks, we're incorporated in the US, but activities in Africa, in Nigeria. So I'm assuming that's where their customers are. Which will be the best program to apply to?
I think it's based on where you're located. I was talking a little earlier about that. If you're in the US, I would recommend applying for the Americas program. If you're anywhere in the Europe, Middle East, or Africa region, so in Nigeria, if you're located in Nigeria, then please apply for EMEA. Yeah,
wherever you want to spend your time zone wise, I guess, with our education and our calls.
Mm-hmm. Code Shark asks, hey guys, I hope you're having a good morning. Do you fund applications in the marijuana space? And I'm going to say we have not, but I believe we can. I don't know. I would honestly have to talk to our legal and look at our own documents. We're not opposed to doing it. It would only be if there was something in our charter that says we can't fund.
We have heavily considered one in the past.
That's right.
They got to our, and I apologize to that company if they're watching this. That they know who they are. That we got very close, and then it didn't work out. But it wasn't due to the fact that it was a business in the cannabis industry. It was due to other factors.
Right. So I guess that's a yes then. All right. Ranma asks, we collect revenue on behalf of our clients. They are other SaaS providers, and we offer additional services like consultation and onboarding. We are evolving a traditional system. Could we be considered? Not sure I fully understand that, but if it's
maybe they're consulting now, and then they're starting to build their SaaS side,
like a product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It depends, honestly. We are going to judge the SaaS part you have. So if you don't have anything that's software revenue that people are paying for a tool, then we're not going to fund a consulting agency or consulting firm or whatever. But if consulting is 70% of your business and SaaS is 30%, and that 30% SaaS is up to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, we evaluate that piece of it. And it's a nice bonus that you have the consulting revenue, because that is runway. So that's where it kind of depends how far along the SaaS piece is. If in doubt, fill it out. Craig on YouTube, I'm building a Euro travel tool to help people plan trips, and I also want to have a tour guide marketplace. Does TinySeed work with travel-related startups? So there's two questions here, because yes, we will absolutely work with travel-related startups as long as you're B2B and you're B2B SaaS. Right? If you're two-sided marketplace and you charge a subscription to businesses, we would consider it. If most of your revenue or your focus is on B2C and it's on consumers planning their trip, the odds are lower much lower that we would.
And again, it's because of the program. You're not going to get as much out of the program because we don't have any focus on the kind of the consumer side of things. So, it's not like we don't think your business can't be wildly successful. It absolutely can. Whoops. Absolutely can be wildly successful. Huge fans of that kind of business. It just doesn't make sense for the program.
We have such a focus on that. But I would say, Craig, if you're in doubt, apply and put this.
A lot of times people are planning on building a B2B side of things anyways,
We have funded a couple B2C focused where they had started the B2B side and gotten enough traction that it was like, oh, that business is interesting to us. And then the B2C revenue is a nice bonus because it's runway, right? It's much like having consulting and pivoting in. Next to that question, Craig. Fahad on YouTube, is there a downside to incorporating in the US as an international founder and targeting a global market, such as, for example, taxes? I don't know. You would honestly need to, it depends on what country you're in and how they treat it. And I would say talk to a lawyer. I don't know that I can give advice on this.
There are like upsides in terms of, incorporating the US as a, and a C Corp. I'm not an expert on this. Was it QSBS is a huge upside for, and I forget why. I just know that's the word that people bring up when they say C Corp and why that's a.
You don't pay taxes if you hold it for 5 years. There's some stuff around there.
Yeah, and then there's also selling.
Yes, if you want to exit later, so many more buyers will consider a U.S. entity, and raising any type of follow-on funding, it's much more difficult if you're not a U.S. entity. But those are the trade-offs you'd have to make. All right. Kareem asks, I wanted to ask, what do you think about cybersecurity in the SaaS business? Do you fund such platforms? Yes, we funded several security related. Again, if you're full on consulting, a lot of security companies that apply are consulting companies that want to get into software. And if you have zero software revenue, then we're not going to fund a consulting firm. But we have funded several that are a mix or that are fully blown cybersecurity SaaS. Deliver Tech asks, do you fund startups that finance vehicle assets for logistics and transportation? If you are B2B SaaS, we have funded. Go to
we have so many niches.
Yes, go to tinyseed.com/portfolio and 105 companies, 170 companies. We have funded in so many niches. So yes, and yes, if you're B2B SaaS, yes.
Yeah, I was talking with April with our call with April Dunford yesterday, and she specifically called out how she loved all the different CRMs that we have, like a CRM for this, and a CRM for that, and a CRM for this. And it's because there's so much opportunity in each of these individual spaces. But like we have such a range already in TinySeed, and yes to B2B SaaS, you're good.
That might be another way that we're different than a traditional venture firm. Is a lot of venture firms focus on something, right? They focus on network effects, and they only fund network effect businesses, or they focus on biotech or something. Our focus is B2B SaaS, which is very broad. And so that does give us the opportunity to invest in these types of companies. Deliver Tech had another question, but it was similar. Like, do you fund startups that do XYZ? Brett asks, if we are applying to TinySeed for a second time, is there a way to get a copy of our prior application?
It's a great question, actually. Yeah. Send me an email or hello@tinyseed.com or tracy@tinyseed.com. Send me an email and I can get that to you.
All right. I think at the sound of the bell, that was our last question. I love how
it was like a wrapped up right at the moment. Yeah.
I didn't think we were going to pull it off, but we did.
I was worried.
Talk faster, guys.
We've been down this road before and we always make it. So thanks everyone so much for joining us.
Hopefully you got a feel for us. One of the reasons why I like doing these things is that I don't know, like I feel like the TinySeed brand is that we're serious professional people with a large, healthy heaping amount of goofiness. Like we're kind of dorky, weird people. And I think this is a great way to get to know us as a team. Not to mention like get to know the program. I think the TinySeed team itself, like we are really wonderful, friendly people. And I hope you kind of feel for us as well.
Yes. And send us an email if you have any questions. We love getting emails.
hello@tinyseed.com.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And say hi to Alex.
Because I'll probably be answering it. So love it.
Yes, indeed. So thanks for joining us today. Looks like we had a great turnout, a lot of great questions. It was amazing. Obviously, feel free to ask follow-ups. Hopefully you apply this time or maybe next time. But we look forward to checking out your application and getting to know you a bit more. From me, Alex, and Tracy, thanks, y'all. See you next time.
Ciao.
Bye.